Hi, so welcome to our latest podcast, stroke video podcast. I've got, as you can see from behind me, the race director of Rocket Race. And what some of you don't know, this is a current, and I mean current, world champion boxer. Wow. Okay, something else, world championship boxing, tell me about it.
So I'm a masters boxer, which is just basically amateur boxing for old people, because we just can't give it up. I actually found OCR through boxing in a weird thing. We might talk about that in a bit. But so in 2013, go back to 2011, I was really injured. Came back, couldn't box again and all that sort of stuff, and decided to hit a punch bag. Found out about masters boxing and the world championships. Went out to America in 2013, competed. It's like Olympic boxing, so semi-final, quarter-final, final, and won my first. So there we go. So won my first world championship in 2013. There we go. There we go. So yeah, there you go. So that's Ringside Boxing. So Ringside, the company, they held a Masters World Championships, and then retired, and then came back. Ruptured a bicep. Came back last year and boxed at Rude Dog for what's called the Consensus World Championship. So that is kind of considered to be, because there's so many belts, it's considered to be the true world champion, because that competition has people from everywhere, from England, South Africa, Australia, obviously America, all over the world. So that was a genuine true world champion. And actually, I always joke that I'm going to be a question on Trivial Pursuit one day, because I'm the first ever British Masters world champion. No one's ever done it before.
I bow to you, Master.
It's not quite as glorious as it sounds. I mean, I was ringside for the world's oldest boxing match, and there was a 68-year-old who boxed a young, sprightly 70-year-old, and it was, you kind of watched it behind your hands and you were like, oh, please just make sure both of them are okay. And it was very slow. But do you know what? They were doing it, and they're getting in there, and it's what gets you out of bed in the morning, isn't it? It's what motivates you and what drives you forward. And yeah, I just love it. It really is a brotherhood. It's very similar to OCR, actually. I just love it. Love what it is. Love everything it stands for.
Yeah, I can see there's an OCR boxing crossover there. You know, we get out of bed to do OCR. You know, we're not racers. Yeah. You know, well, some of us are not. You know, some of us are. I'm not a racer anymore. Far too old. But there's that. You want to get out there and just compete and just do the obstacles that you see on the channels. You know, I watched Nuclear Races not long since when they put it on, and they had it live feed, and I was like, oh, I want to be there. I really want to be there. And I was like, why weren't I? But anyway, different story why I wasn't there. But
yeah, well, same as really. But you know, back in the day, you know, you say you're not a racer. Back in the day, you were pretty handy, and you and I have raced against each other at a couple of events. Yeah. UK Championship, we raced against each other. The first one we raced there. Yeah. In fact, I think I qualified at one of your events.
Dash of the Titan.
Yeah, Dash of the Titan. Amazing event.
But I mean, that broke people. I mean, there's not a lot of people know this story. But to give a quick story, I invited Elite to race there, and it was my first. It wasn't my race. I was just the course designer. That's what they employed me to do. Although they never paid me, they employed me to do it and got free labour. But anyway, I was the course designer and builder, and you'll probably remember this. About a mile into it, you went through was just an open space of about 10 meters wide and 200 meters long with no paths. And it was just
yes.
Either side. And the elites went down there, you know, and they make the paths, don't they? You know, the elites make the path.
Yeah.
And it was 2 laps, and there's a certain an amazing, and probably what I think is probably one of the toughest OCR races I've ever come across in Conor Hancock. And he did the first lap, and he come to me after the first lap, and he went, "I'm not going for a second. There's no way. You've just ripped my leg apart." And I was like, "Sorry, mate, but yeah, I know." and the log carry.
Yeah. Because as race directors, that's what we want.
Yeah, it was. I loved it.
Yeah.
One more last question on boxing.
Yeah, it was brilliant. There was. Pardon?
One last question on boxing. Joshua or Fury?
I've got to go with my main man, Tyson Fury. He's actually from the same place as me.
Oh, right.
So you know, we're both from the same place. You know, we've got lots of common friends, and actually, he's really, really good friends with another good friend of mine, Sean Gash, who is one of my heroes. You know, Sean. So he's in a wheelchair, and I had the privilege of running on his team, No Fear on Wheels, a couple of times. What an amazing experience! You know, we can look at all the elite guys and say, yeah, you know, you're really, really good, but actually, the best experience, or one of the best experiences I've ever had, was running on his No Fear team. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, we put harness on him, you know, ropes in his wheelchair, and he was like a chariot, and it was like, go! And we just went, and he was in his chair, and just amazing getting him over all and we did, you know, 90% of the obstacles we did, and we'd get him over. And I remember once running behind him, and we'd got a bit of bumpy ground, and I put my hands on his shoulders to give him a bit of a push. Wow, you've never felt shoulders like that, boy. Wow, he is like upper body wise. Yeah. He's a beast. He's an absolute beast. But what an experience! What an amazing experience! It's things like that that make me love OCR so much for what it is. You know, when you get to take part in something like that, it's just amazing.
Yeah. I've seen some of the Sean Gash videos recently, because he's learned to scuba dive and things like that, and so I've been watching him do a little bit of that on social media. Legend, absolute legend. So what a guy! Absolutely.
Yeah, what a man! What a guy!
So, another race.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got to go with Tyson Fury, and actually, I think he's going to stop him. I think he's going to stop Anthony Joshua in about 6 or 7 rounds.
Well, I'm going to have a gentleman's bet with you then, and we're going to put 50 pence on, because I'm going to go and turn around and say that Joshua's going to do him in 12 rounds. I reckon it's going to go the distance. Yeah, that's my opinion. I'm not.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. I mean, if it goes the distance, and nobody's gone down, it'll be a draw.
We can go back to this video and look at it, and we can say, yes, you were right, I was right.
Yeah. Well, I actually had, with the first Fury Wilder fight, I had a gentleman's bet with William Hill, and I managed to win quite a lot of money on the draw. I went, well, there we go. The first one's a draw. The second one's going to go one way. The third one's going to go another way, and call me cynical, but guess what? I was right.
Right, you know, spot on. You're a boxer. You're going to get with a boxer, so I'm confident you will. I was going to say, apart from
you know, we get.
No, go on.
Sorry, say that again.
I was going to say, apart from the Dash of the Titan, do you remember a very memorable race we both did where we was dressed up at a start?
Yeah, the Spartan 300.
Spartan 300. How good was that?
Brilliant. That was amazing, because I mean they've done a couple since, but we were the originals.
Yeah.
And we sound like a pair of proper old men now, don't we? But we were the original, and when we stood on that start line, and we genuinely did have 300 of us, I watched, somebody had shared the video of the start a few months ago. I think it must have been like the anniversary. And I get goosebumps every time I look at it. Just all of us, crossing that start line. But what was hilarious is we all got to the first bush, and there was bits of shields and helmets going off all over the place. And I always call it the race that I finished in my underpants.
Oh, that was really good. Yeah, one of the best ones.
That was really, really good. Yeah. And your team absolutely smashed it. I remember we thought we were doing well, and then I think it was like the brick carry, and we were just approaching it, and I think we started a similar sort of place in the wave as you guys, and I looked up beyond, and you guys were gone. You guys absolutely smashed that race.
We were pushing. I'll argue we were pushing, and at the end I felt it. So yeah, but I love Spartan races. I love Spartan when it comes to mainstream races. Your Tough Mudders, your Spartans. I am a Spartan fan. I like how every obstacle is the same for everyone. And you know what you're going to get at a Spartan race. You're going to turn up. You're going to turn up, and you're going to get bear throw. You're going to get the walls. You're going to get burpees at some point. It's Spartan. He's Spartan.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what you're going to get. Yeah. I'm a massive fan, and I've probably got more Spartan medals on my hangers than I have any other event. So first and foremost, love them. The 2 stadium races that have happened in the UK. So actually, I did the first one at Allianz Stadium. Everyone goes about this stadion that they did at in London a couple of was it last year? It was the first one. I'm like, no, it wasn't. But yeah, I love them, and it's the same the world over. The same as McDonald's.
Yes. Too right. So, are you a Tough Mudder fan or a Spartan fan?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is actually where you came into my story with Dash of the Titan, because I was a Tough Mudder and a Spartan guy, and that was all I ever did. I didn't do OCR. I did Tough Mudder and Spartan. And then I did yours, and then that was my first independent race, and just loved it because I got inside your head. When I finished that event, I knew what kind of running you enjoyed, and knew what kind of obstacles you enjoyed. I don't know whether it's the race director, like the natural race director inside me. I don't know what it is, but I could get inside your head, and I knew you. I knew what kind of things you enjoyed, what you didn't enjoy. I knew that by the end of the race, and just loved it. And I then went back to a Spartan or a Tough, and never got that feeling again. And for me, that's the extra element. So the same as you go to a restaurant, you go to a nice restaurant and have nice, Michelin star food, if you like, or just, just good restaurant food. It's great, and you get a feel for it. You get a feel for the food. You get a feel for the chef. And you go to a McDonald's, a Burger King, KFC, whatever. It's the same. You can have one in England. You can have one in America. You can have one in Russia, and it's all the same. And that's the difference for me. When it comes to the difference in independent obstacle racing and commercial obstacle racing, and I think they're both great, and I think there's a place for them both. But I'm a big lover of the Michelin star restaurant.
Yeah, me too. I bread and butter. Take me to any independent race, I will go any day of the week. I love that time. I love, like you say, getting inside the race director, the course designer's head, and what comes up next. You don't know what's going to come up next. It could be a log carry, it could be a crawl, it could be just miles of mud. You don't know, and they make the most of it. A lot of them make the most of it, and that. So what it was then. So when did it start, and why did it
start? Okay, so we're 5 years old, but actually 4 years old. So this year should have been our 5th anniversary, but we're not counting it. So next year is our 5th anniversary. So yeah, 5 years old, started 2015. Why did it start? So I was training a load of people to do Tough Mudder. And I was running boot camps and all that sort of stuff. And I'd go off and run Dash of the Titan, Spartan, you know, whatever, on a Saturday. And then on a Sunday, I'd take this group out. We had like 38 people, and I'd take them out and do their training. And the little village that I lived in at the time, I'd created this urban OCR because I was training them and teaching them to go over obstacles. So we were going over car park walls. We were going to the skate park and running up the ramps. We were, you know, jumping ditches. We were running through a river, you know, the Bridge of Despair. Yeah. So we were running through a river that had a footbridge going over the top. And we all had to throw each other up over the footbridge and work as a team and all that sort of stuff. I'd hidden tyres in hedges and farmers' fields. I mean, it's rural. I live out in the country. So I'd hidden tyres, and we were doing tyre runs in the middle of it and all this sort of stuff. And actually, I was charging these people a £5 for this urban OCR. And I was thinking, do you know what I'm charging a £5 for is better than what I'm paying 40, 50, 60 quid for to go and run somebody else's race. So I was having a conversation with Kerry, my partner, and Kate, the silent partner in the back of Rocket. And I was talking to them about it, and they said, we believe in you. If you get a chance to put this on, then actually we'll do all the things that you're really bad at. Now I'm like massively dyslexic, and I just don't get on with all that sort of stuff, like all the admin and all of that kind of stuff, and I really struggle with it. So, and they said, look, we'll take all that off you. You go and do what you do. You go and design a course, and you get it built. And I literally built it with the change in my pocket. I had no finance. I had no backing. I didn't have anything at all. I'd managed to beg, borrow, and steal a few things. I was paying my timber. I think I'd built 3 timber structures, and I've got like 57 of them now. Do you know what I mean? But I think I built 3 timber structures, and I'd agreed to pay the guy that owned the timber yard weekly. So I'd got a kind of like gentleman's finance on the timber to build these obstacles. And it was, and we sold 300 tickets for the first event. And you'll remember, you saw the reviews come in, and everybody loved it. And people have said since that I have a real eye for designing a course. And that's I think where my creativity is in designing challenges and that sort of thing. So yeah, sorry, really long-winded answer there, but yeah, that's how it started, and that's why it started.
No, that's great. I mean, that's what we do OCR for, isn't it? You know, we want to get people involved and fetch them in. You know, and
yeah,
I think you are very much along the lines of, and tell me if I'm wrong with this, that you like to fetch the newbies into the sport as well as the existing. Because I have done a little bit of research on Rocket Race. I'm going to put my hands on my chest here and say I haven't done one yet. But after what I've seen today, and what I get to me and my team down this year, because you do laps like I like. So you one lap for the beginners, but then for the more experienced runners, you offer the marathon distance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I still believe, so I did 22 miles on my course during a virtual event that I did during lockdown, and it almost broke me. Marathon distance on that course is brutal. So one of the things that I do on my obstacles is generally you'll have a couple of options on each obstacle. So and especially on the riggy type stuff, So you'll have sort of a newbie beginner lane, you'll have like a regulars lane, and then you'll have a ninja lane, you know. And the thing is if you're doing laps, you can get it in your head and you can go, right, so how am I going to play this? So am I going to go out ninja and finish newbie? Am I going to go out newbie, finish ninja? You know, how am I going to play this? Am I go knee all the way? Am I, you know, so you can really sort of create your own destiny, you know, create your own adventure with it. So yeah, the whole thing is, so like I say, if we go back to the boxing, I got injured when I was in the forces, see military stuff there. So I got injured when I was in the forces. I was told I'd never run again, or a massive depression, went up to over 20 stone. And people used to say to me, oh, you're really, really inspiring and all that sort of stuff. And I got, when I won the first world title, that was when I started training people, and I found OCR because I wanted something to do to keep fit. And I just think, if I can do this and inspire one person to get off the sofa and turn their life around, if I can do this with my life, because my life wasn't in a great place at the time, and I can inspire somebody else to do it, then those horrible, cold, wet days where you're trudging around, building obstacles, you're in the thick mud and you've got trench foot and it's, you don't want to be there, makes it all worth it. And anyone that knows me and anyone that's been to a rocket will always, and certainly anyone that's marshaled for me, has seen me cry, because race day, I always get overwhelmed on race day. I stand at the top of the stairs at my office at the farm, and I look at all of these people that have come to my farm to run my event, to do something that I believe in. They believe in me, and they've invested their training, they've invested the money, they've invested the time, the effort into something that I've done. And for me, that's there's no privilege like it in the world, because it is heart and soul stuff. And that's the one thing that we can say as independent race directors, is it's heart and soul stuff, because I put my heart and soul into that course as you put your heart and soul into your course. And for somebody to get out of bed and want to experience your heart and soul is such a humbling experience.
Yes, I fully agree with that. There's no better feeling. And at my race, at the minute, I've got a 73, I think he was last year. Would have been 74 this year, but he hasn't, obviously couldn't turn up because of COVID. So he'll be 75 next year. You know, and it's an amazing feeling to see someone of that age. I mean, my course is not as long as yours. Mine's only 6. Yours is 10.
Yeah.
That is, as a one lap event. And it takes him an hour and a half, sometimes up to 2 hours to do that 6 kilometers. But the feeling he gets from finishing, and this year he actually brought a 70-year-old woman along with him. Oh, wow.
He's doing something right.
His girlfriend as well, Mike. I'm going to touch on a subject here that some people might say I shouldn't be talking about it. Some people,
right.
I think as race directors, and I hope you agree with this, but we've got a duty of care to all our participants, and everyone knows we have.
Yeah.
I have insurance and I have first aiders, and I'm thankful I have, and I'm thankful out of 7 years of doing this, I've never had no major injury apart from a twisted ankle. But every year, right, they still turn up. I think you know where I'm going to go with this, don't you?
Yeah, I know where you're going to go, yeah.
You, on the other hand, do exactly the same as me in terms of the medics and the insurance, but you, and not a lot of people might know this, had a really serious case, didn't you, a few years ago?
Yes, yeah, I did. Talk about earning your spurs as a race director. So a chat, I'm sure he won't mind me saying his name, Steve Fox. Quite a lot of people know him in the OCR scene, and I knew him in the OCR scene because, you know, I'm a runner as well as a race director. Saw me in the event village, said how much he was looking forward to it. He'd seen that there was 4 or 5 new bills that particular event, and that was the last thing that he remembers. He'd not even warmed up. He was stood in the start pen and just collapsed, and had a major heart attack. Luckily, it was the start. So it's one of those situations where he was running in the second wave. So I was already out with the elite runners, and I got this message on the radio saying code red event village go. So you know, you don't need to know radio protocol to know what that means. So I sprinted all the way back. Paramedics had already got a hold of him, and yeah, we'd stabilized him. He fell at the feet of a nurse. I mean, of all the people you're going to fall at the feet of, who instantly started CPR. And then your event management plan kicks in.
Yes.
You have thought about all of these things beforehand. There's a running joke within Team Rocket, and I say, I do the thinking so you don't have to, because I'm better at it. And it sounds arrogant, but actually it's like, it is my job to just think about, well, what happens if there's a car crash in the event village, in the car park? What happens if, you know, what do we do in all these things? So actually, and I'll go back to I've got a second example actually. So the whole thing kicked in. So it was actually within 24 minutes of him having the heart attack and hitting the deck. We'd landed the air ambulance, had him stabilized, got him then on the air ambulance off, and a week later, he was saying thank you to me in the pub. Would saved his life, and that was me being as anal as I am, and the team being as good as they are, and you know, the medic team were just amazing. T, the girl that was there with him, or you know, he fell at her feet, she was just amazing, and everything just kicked in. Really dark moments, you know, really dark moments, and you really question, because everything you do is for good. You do everything for the benefit of people. And when you're looking at this person who's on the floor, who's struggling to stay alive, and just, you know, really, and he was really in a bad way. I remember having the thought and just thinking, this isn't why I do this. I do this for good. I don't do this so these things happen. But like I say, you've thought about it all beforehand. And actually, on the same subject, obviously to a lesser degree. So when I talk about planning, you do your planning when you're in a nice warm office and you're in front of a laptop and you're not emotional. So you can look at things, you know, really just quite matter of fact. And the latest example is, like, I don't have a lot of luck. Last example was we had a hurricane blow in on race day. And we'd got because we're near an airport or a little airstrip, and you know, we knew what speed the wind was and that sort of stuff. So I just went to my risk assessment. Everyone was running around going, "Are you going to cancel? You're going to cancel? You're going to cancel?" Well, I don't need to make that decision. I made that decision 3 months ago when I was in a nice warm office. And actually, well, look here, well, what I've got to do according to this is close every obstacle over 3 meters high. Right, okay, so we'll do that then, shall we? Yeah, okay, everyone happy? Yeah, let's go for it. And managed to keep the event going because of the risk assessment and the event management planning. I think that's the side of life that people don't see. And neither nor should they see, really. You know, it's just part of what we do.
You're quite right, but I want to get that point over that independent racers like yours and many other independents out there, they still put things in place to ensure accidents should they occur, whatever happens, and that was the point I was going to go over, because I was recently reading something, not on an OCR page, but on a trail running page, and it was about an event, and they had no marshals out on course, and someone was running, and there was online for a PB, and they had to stop and help a person. I mean, that's OCR spirit, and this guy was an OCR athlete. I know he was, and I'm not going to name him, but he stopped to help someone out. That's the OCR spirit. That's the difference between what we do in OCR and why OCR costs more money than a £10 trail race or a £20 trail race.
Yeah. Yeah.
We put so much in place to ensure that these things don't happen. You know, I spend hours and hours and hours looking at my event plan every year, and you know, and thinking, right, what can I do? What can I change? You know, and then after the event, I sit down, and I'm sure you do, with your team, and say, right, tell me the bad, the ugly, you know, give it me all, just walk in, because if you don't tell me, I can't change it. So
yeah.
Is that the boss?
Sorry, I just had somebody, Ben, who was also an OCR runner, is my neighbour. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's interesting you use the term that I use, actually. I've never heard anyone else use the term good, bad and ugly. So after every event, we get together as a team and we go through good, bad and ugly. And we learn and we move on. And you have to learn from every event. Nobody can be perfect. I don't believe perfect exists. I've run a few events that have been close to it, to be fair. But perfect doesn't exist, and you don't see what happens in the background. Something catastrophic may have happened, and they might just got away with it. But yeah, the independent OCR. This is actually one of the things that I'm in conversation with and talking to UK OSF with, and I'm really trying to push my will for. Like a blue tick kind of thing. So, you know, if you're an event that's got, you know, your insurance in place and your risk assessments, and you've got a safe course, and you've got a good business management plan, and you've got a good event management plan and all that, you kind of get the blue tick to give people the confidence that you are, you know, you're doing what you're doing. Because the problem that we've got with OCR, well, the worst thing about OCR is there's no rule book, and the best thing about OCR is there's no rule book.
It is.
Yeah, so you can really express yourself, but also this, you know, you can get some people that go to a Spartan or a Tough Mudder, count the cars in the car park, go, this time next year, Rodney will be millionaires, put on their own thing, you're jumping over a bit at 2v2. And the thing snaps, and they don't understand about load bearing, you know, about loads and sizes of timbers and all of that sort of stuff. And so, you know, I'm a big advocate of safety. And I think that this is where OCR needs to go before it can be taken really seriously as an Olympic sport, as, you know, as all of that sort of stuff. Because I do believe it will get there. I do believe it will. But I think that this is what. And this attitude has to be a universal attitude throughout the sport, throughout every race director, throughout everybody. It has to be a universal attitude.
I couldn't agree more. You know, we need something there. I spoke to quite a few race directors 3-4 years ago, tried to put something together when the OCRA disbanded. I thought we needed to put something together, and I still think we do. I hope UK OCF put something together. I hope, my only hope with UK OCF is they don't turn it into Spartan, and they don't go, you must have this obstacle, and this obstacle, and this obstacle, and they let us have freedom, because
yes,
that's the independent scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Or else, I mean, you know, if I have a list of 25 obstacles that I have to create, I'm out. You know, if anyone ever comes to my event, I have, if everything I put a twist on, everything I'll change, everything and stuff. There's an obstacle called Vexed that I built. I think first ever race or second ever race I built. I built from timber that I'd got from a building site that they'd over Nils Yard, big posh building was being made. Like, and I was like, wow, that's some pretty good timber. I had a word with a foreman, and he said, well, we've over ordered. You can have some of these really big, thick stuff. So brilliant. Anyway, built this obstacle. We still have that obstacle, but it looked absolutely nothing like the obstacle it started out as. And it's just evolved and evolved and evolved and evolved. And I will be unveiling the new version, which is just stupid massive. Yeah, I'll be unveiling the new version soon. And it's just evolved so much. And you know, if somebody's saying, well, you've got to have these obstacles and I'm not allowed to do that, well, that isn't the thing that I like. That isn't why I'm in the sport. I'm in the sport to be creative. It's my creative thing. Like with the virtual season we've just put on, that's, you know, that's me being creative. That's me being, you know, I don't want to sound really arrogant or whatever now, but that's me being an artist. That's my, you know, my flair, if you like.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that virtual series, but I'm just going to put a little caveat in here that at no point have UK OCF turned around and said that they are going to make all obstacles the same. That's just my opinion, by the way, guys.
Yeah. No, that's it's not on the board. It's not on the board. We're talking hypothetically. It's not on the board. But like you said, turn it into Spartan. And this is the thing for me that, and like I say, you know, I always put the caveat in. I love Spartan.
Yeah.
You know, love Spartan, love Joe, love what he's doing, and all the rest of it. But if the UK independent scene, if we don't stick together, work with UK OSF, get that board around it and really work as a force, it will be Spartan. And that's it. You know, so we have to support our local races. We have to support our independent events. I'm not saying don't go and run a Spartan. By all means, I'll see you there, because I'll be there, you know, a season pass holder, you know. You know, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is there is, you know, there is more to life than that. And I think UK OSF, I think we'll get there. I've got faith, and I think we'll get there. I think they'll get there. I think they've got, you know, from what I've seen, they've got a team that are experienced. And yeah, you know, if I could in some way be on, not necessarily on board, but an advisor from a race director's point of view, because I think there's they need both sides of the coin. Because if you have a governing body that is run by racers, it's going to be a governing body by the racers for the racers. And I always say everybody's a race director, but they're not. So we need people from all sides. We need people from the martial world, from the race directing world, from the medical world. You know, let's get, you know, I've got a very good medical team as history has shown. Let's get the medics on board, and let's be listening to those guys. You know, let's really get some collaborative thinking together, because we can be a force. I mean, wow, get all of us around the table, and start, you know, making a plan, and start giving each other tasks and stuff we've got to do, and deadlines and all that. Is there anything we can't do? There really isn't. We really do need to, should and could work together so well.
I agree. There's so many race directors that are so passionate about this, about OCR. Big, small events, whatever size you look at, we're all passionate about it. You know, we're not all in it purely to make a buck. We're all in it to see that finish line. You know, to see them people cross that finish line and go, thank you. You know, I always remember Doug Spence at Dirty Dozen Races. You know, he was the first actual race director that I ever came into contact with that would stand at that finish line and put a medal around everyone's neck.
Yeah.
You know, there was no other race director did that. Now it's the done.
Yeah, yeah.
So back then it was just Doug, and I mean Doug the Beard. He looks completely different now, but he had this big bushy beard, you know. And
yeah,
60 years old. He's going to be now watches this. And he shakes it off.
but yeah, he was like one of the first rock stars, one of the first guys. You know what I mean? He was a bit of a rock star, and I thought he carried around a bit. He wasn't, and she had the old dog on the finish line, and she loved it, and it was brilliant. I genuinely don't, I don't do that. I'm out on the course. Not really a vehicle. I'm out and I'm managing my event.
Yeah.
So I'm on the radio and I'm going to take it around. I hope at least 5 of it comes through my event, and I'll try and talk to as many people on the event as I can. And yeah, that's why I'm doing it, isn't it? It's just amazing.
So
yeah, I think anything the pandemic has taught me is I need to put on events as much as runners need to run.
Oh yes, I completely. It's a bug. You know, I've missed that addiction.
Yeah.
I have a tattoo done every 3 years by addiction. And because we haven't had an event yet, I've had 2 from us like I've missed it.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, without racing, are we even alive? Are we even, you know? Yeah, I just love it.
But rocket race this year, I guess, as you've done something that not a lot of other races have done. So a lot of people will put a virtual run on. A lot of races have put a virtual run on this year. You know. I need to get rid of them. So it's a virtual run 10K. You look at it, not just OCR, you know, throughout the whole running industry, you trail run, you start and you do it, you know, that's the biggest one. London Marathon, virtual London Marathon. Well, the rocket race took a step further. So for anyone out there, the virtual rocket race, I was looking.
Yeah, we did some pretty crazy stuff. So I had this idea in my head, and it's kind of around the Challenge Games, which is a new event that I've got next year. But I couldn't from 0 to there. Virtual events, they're what they are. And I didn't want to go on 10K, give me a snapshot of so the first event I did was called To the Moon Back. So what it is a design workout, and each workout represents, I think it's 10,000 miles to the moon. So you did this workout, and you got to the moon, and you did your moon walk, which was a mile run, and then you did your workout back, and it's a 1,000 workout for the time. So the way that worked, sort of. So we did that, and then 10K a day, where you had to create. This was about our steeplechase event, the rocket race all the time. So I had to go out and find things to jump over. So I had to do 10K, I had to go and jump over things, take pictures of someone jumped over, and we get people getting into it now. And we've got people doing slow videos of them going over things. People are having fun. We're having fun with this, and that's what we do. And then we launched Mission X. So Mission X, it's upon an event, and it seemed like the right time that replicated what I consider. So anyone that does rocket race is called rocketeer. So what a rocketeer is about. So the anatomy of a rocket. So the idea was you set up to an event that you've got 10 challenges. You don't know what the challenges are, and you don't know when they're going to happen. When they happen, you've got 24 hours to get it done. Pretty daunting task. And I knew that the numbers, so the amount of people would be huge. I knew that, and that actually for the first one I felt comfortable with that because we've never done anything like this before. It was completely new. But that was fine. I think we had about 130, 140 people, and I was more than happy with that. And we, of course, we did everything that I believe is important to who we are as people. So we did everything. We did some great runs. We did some good workouts. Then we did a 10k, 5k blog, which is where you go running and you pick up. Okay. So we sent people lists to pick it. We had to go round about kindness, so I went and bought some chocolate biscuits for myself, giving them to the nurses at the local hospital. This was in the first round. So we just did everything, with a sense of community responsibility, that sort of stuff. So that was level one. I then launched Rise of the Rocketeer, and this is the things we did with Rise of the Rocketeer were just epic. So again, we do things like random acts of kindness. We did some pumpkin carving. We did a 12-hour team relay. So I broke people down into teams, and the mission. So we changed it that each time frames were then mission sensitive. So some missions are about 6 hours, some missions are about 3 days. So we started, once we got people into it, we can then start varying things and mixing things up. So I broke people down into teams. Well, the first part of the mission is you've got to start talking to each other. So create chat groups, create Zoom groups, create all those things, chatting. You Thursday morning, and I think it was Monday morning, so the whole weekend, organised a 12-hour window where we can all run. And they did a relay for 12 hours. And it was just mind-blowing. So that was when so we went to Sima Farm, and we did a relay around Sima Farm, around Rocket Race for 12 hours. And I did 22 miles. With all the others, these people, they've been in lockdown, we're just getting back in fitness again, some just doing caps 5k. The person that did the least amount did a half marathon. A half marathon, it's just incredible, absolutely incredible. And then we did, and then for like a 6-hour walk, where I did a really simple walk that would get into people's heads, that would break people mentally, and I had to do this walk relay. Just amazing, and then they had to make a rocket out of the recycling. It's kind of like all over the place, but just that's what we're about. And it was really nice actually, because the last mission, we threw both missions at the start. So the last mission, what we did is invited everybody for a drink, and we had this massive Zoom meeting, Zoom chat with all of the people taking part, and that was just such a beautiful moment where, as we were saying as a race, actually you get to talk and meet people, and they had like open floor, we could ask them questions and all that sort of stuff, because we did one of the missions they had to design an obstacle of which to be built. So two people were looking to get obstacles, but now again revealed in the year. So yeah, I think I'm really, really proud of our virtual season. And I think we've been brave, and we've done something that nobody else I thought of or was brave to do, or whatever. a few people doing stuff along the same lines. But yeah, I'm really proud.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, in terms of I saw what you did. So when I was to I'm going to put my best, so no one knows what it is. You find out later. But yeah, doing something different every day. Very much similar to what you did. It was just a bit of fun for us. We didn't, it was all done for charity and all that. Yeah. I did take a little bit from else, a little bit from someone else. So is there going to be virtual events?
Sorry, I missed that. Your connection.
Is there going to be virtual events?
Yes, there is. So again, this year has been as terrific as it has been successful for me. And now virtual events, yeah, they've pushed us all to do things in a different way. Here, without the pandemic, would have been having this conversation in the back of a van somewhere in a field during rest. Do you know what I mean? It's made us do things in a different way. But the virtual events, the Mission X's are now a permanent fixture within our calendar. I'm in a really lucky position with the medals. So the other thing that we do with the virtuals is the day that you're trying to get as close to, the day that you do your last mission, your medal comes through your door. So it's really genuinely like, because I think that's one of the frustrations you do with virtual. It takes 3 months. Yeah, finish your last mission, put your medal, and people do videos of the, like these medals ceremonies that people do with all the kids as well, and, all of that sort of stuff. Brilliant. So yeah, I think we're going to keep that. It's definitely part of what we do now. I've got a few ideas around how we're going to do it. I'm not going to give you an exclusive just yet, because I don't want to make it. So yeah, there will be one in the new year, and there will be one to hopefully for everyone.
I'll get all the top now then.
But yeah, the whole, the thing that we're going to go into is do you want a medal for your training? Do you want a training program if you're So if you've never done OCR, if you somebody to OCR, they'll say 1 or 2 things. The first thing they'll say, or one of the things they'll say is I can't run. And the other thing they'll say is I can't body strength. And when I was a PT, I'd be like, well, that's my job. That's where I come in to solve both of them. But actually, why not do a virtual? So you sign up to an event and you join the virtual, and it adds confidence to the price of your race. And then you post your evidence, get fit for the race, you get prepared for the race, you get into the race out as said, and then when you turn up at the event, you get to medal. I mean, that's where we're going. That's where the boundaries have to be pushed. We have to push down the boundaries. We have to be creative. Push forward all the time. Or at least, and that's what really gets me going. That's what really excites me. That's what it's changed so much. That's what we do.
And I've seen you talking about doing this couch 5K body strength.
Yeah.
Is it marathon?
Yeah. God, yeah, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Yeah, I'm all so I don't know how many people, but it's worldwide this thing. So it's not virtual, it's not anything. It's just a thing like Armageddon, where your mates are like, how it's like that sort of thing. So what you're going to do is every day in December, including New Year's Eve, including Christmas Day, Boxing Day, Christmas Eve, you've got to run 5K or 25 minutes.
Right.
Minimum. Yeah. So minimum. You can run 10K, 20K, but you've got to run that minimum every day. Which doesn't sound too bad. Oh my God. Talk about regrets. day 17 now. And I'm over the hump now, and there's no way in it. I've actually used it. I calf muscle last month, so I'm going to use it to rehab. So I've been doing that. So yeah.
There's a little underground Facebook group called Team Beijing that did the same thing about 4 years ago. So he says he's running. John is the organizer, and we do 5K every day in December. I've done it once or twice, but this year my thing's a bit different. So I'm not doing it this year. Yeah, it's the Christmas day and the Boxing Day, and some of them we have this down south as well. We have Mad Friday, and it was all after Mad Friday was my 2 days to run. So yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult. I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's nobody. Me and Gary were laughing about this today. I was like, there's nobody holding a gun against me. Everybody, it's literally under pressure other than me. It's just saying it and say doing it. It's just the silly things that motivate, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Very much so. I've done this year. I've had a bad period myself. I fell out of running. I fell out of running in January. I was last year. Affected me, Achilles tendons, and calves. I've been run, and I tried to when I was in constant pain. I fell out with running altogether. And then come May, June, I got a little bit back into it. So I decided to set myself a challenge to train. I've never run a marathon, yeah. I've never run a marathon, never run an ultra. I kept training to Edale, which is 32 miles away, to run home.
Yeah.
And I gave myself I was like, I did it.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've done it since as well. But yeah, and I'm not back in London. So to set yourself these challenges, like you're saying, this marathon, if you don't set that challenge, which is just for you to complete, you don't do things, you know.
Yeah.
But I'll train for it. Well, maybe I will, maybe I won't. You know, but if you set yourself a challenge, so I'm not going to do rocket races marathon. Yeah, for that. So, you know, you've got to set yourself these targets.
Yeah, absolutely. A massive believer in it.
Yeah. So I quickly touched on this with video, and I said I want to get out. We had to at some point, yeah. Well, what five events? I'm putting the paper out there, research. That's it. Right. Well, it's events, and this is what I'm interested in, because I'm definitely coming down to the Apollo or the Challenger, because I want to go to the marathon. My training, so I'm all for the marathon. And
Right.
24th of April was the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. So the season is really varied. So I've got these 3 new events that I've been trying to launch, trying to get off the ground, and I think COVID happened. But next year, obviously, we're going to go. As underpinning knowledge, during the lockdown, I've rebuilt the course. The course needed fresh and as you heard previous from first built the course, it was, you know, like it was, you know, basic pick up and all that sort of stuff. So the course has been completely modernised and everything is really, really wide. So what happens in April, where we'll be at the end of April 24th, I don't know what the virus will be, all of that, I'm not sure or anything. But we can go ahead and look at it, we can show the distance and obstacles. So completely COVID safe course, completely course, so it's COVID safe. And that's actually, so everything is 100% new, everything is 100% new, and the reason why I've done that because I sat down, I've looked at my risk assessment, and I've gone, okay, so how can I put on an event? Well, I can put it on by doing this, this, and this. And one of the things is making sure that my obstacles wide enough. So the smallest obstacle that I've got now is 6 meters wide. The smallest. Yeah. Smallest is 6 meters wide. So we can distance ourselves and everything. And we've got a lot more obstacles. So you know, we've got a cargo neckline into an Irish table, into an 8-foot wall, you know, and they're just huge, just massive structures. So that's April. Now you're coming down. So we've got, and then the next event is Orbiter, which is a location, which is Orbiter is what I call a steeplechase event. So it is very much a runner's race. So somebody is pushing and running more than air obstacles, or you're running a running club that says that I can run by my upper body. This is the event for you, because you are going over structures no higher than waist height, sort of 45 feet. And you've just got these, it's a beautiful location up here where the whole kilometry festivals, we've got wooded areas, open fields, we've got this big valley. Now imagine it's just got visually spectacular, it's a big valley. And if you stand in the valley and you look down, you've got all of these steeplechases in a line all the way through the centre of the valley. And you just got a snake, boom, boom, just these hurdles at the bottom of the valley. It's just this big stretch back. It's going to be epic. So we've got this sort of runner's race there, going over some obstacles, and then we've got Challenger. Bangkok. Yeah. I built a section 7 years back, and I built this big version of X, and a couple of people that we all know in the OCR scene were coming around, you know, after we built and, you know, sort of behind the scenes, and we're giving it a go. And failed it, and it kind of was scratching their head. I felt this obstacle like that, you know, anything sort of thing. So race day comes, and of course, colours like, you know, it's a 15k course, it's 14k in front of everybody else. The guy's just amazing. What an amazing athlete. We're all sitting a obstacle, you know, we're going to stop these tracks, because that's what we'll do. These elite races, we'll stop, they can think, they can scratch heads. And we're like, hey, and he just goes top tip, jump over, like it's not there. Well, that was pointless, wasn't it? And then I turned around to Kerry and went, hey, can't deadlift to me there. And then I went, hang on a second, there's something in that. So challenge again was born. So think back to Mission X, 10 missions, 10 challenges. You'll kind of know what they are, but you don't know what they are really to get there. A bit of time to get to have a look and stuff like that. But ranging from, so you'll do round robin, where it ranges from strongman type events to athletic type events, and kind of everything in the middle. And it's about playing tactics. So one of them is like a reverse tug of war. So back to back. I've got a in front of me, you've got a in front of you. You know, there's 3 meters in front, and we've got 2 meters of rope. So we've both run, we hit the rope, and I've got to pull you so I can hit my bell. You've got to pull me so you can hit your bell. So for me to get to Connor, there's actually 2 pieces on that. miles, I can beat him on that. But when it comes to Eliminator, which is a 300 meter course with 6 obstacles, 10 of us, the last person each lap gets eliminated until you get to a the last he's going to smash that. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm just going to run out. He's going to be okay. But actually, but you can't win every round on that. You've got to play the game. And then on top of that challenge you've got, so you can sit a challenge out and you score the average points. Everybody else score. So you still score. You can also play your Joker, where you see it, you come to a challenge, you know it's written all over it. Play your Joker, you get double points. So, you know, tactics, and that all gets into it, all gets run together, and then you've got a short course 5k OCR for the models. For, you know, who's going to win it, who's going to come second, all of that. And the way we're going to do it is a straight out drag race. It's a race to the finish line. We all know, oh yeah, elite day, the course isn't showing up for that. Well, how's our chance? Yeah, come on, fat boys. Now, our chance, we can beat them. We can beat them because we've got this level of play. We can beat them. You know, they've got to train. It's so bad. You know, because I can deadlift and I can run and I can throw things and I can pull and I'm aggressive. And I can do all these things. Do you know what I mean? So we've got a chance. So it's sorry, action taking it. The concepts of challenge are just love it.
It sounds it's a bigger version than what who's the wrestler in America? Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, Broken Skull Challenge.
It's a little bit on like that on a much bigger scale. Everybody actually, much dollars can take part. That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to break you. It's going to absolutely break you.
Did there's something similar to something similar to that with legs. Not things that they eliminate things.
They did like Iron Run or some Iron Ram, something like that, wasn't it? Yeah. Somebody's going to jump all over me and correct me. I don't know whether it happened or not. I think it did one and then did get to the second one. I think if my memory is right, but yeah, I just love that idea. Just absolutely love it. So yeah, so and then we're back to the farm for 3, which is the 10k start, 10k off marathon, and then we've got Atlantis to finish the year off, which is just the coolest triathlon ever, if I don't mind saying so myself. So we've got this big lagoon in Surrey, and you see you kind of get the start, go a little bit of running, and you're going to jump on a stand-up paddleboard, and you're going to stop the K around the course. We've got lots of safety in November. We've got lots of safety, so you know you fall off, you get back on board, and all that sort of stuff. So you're going to stop, and then you're going to get landed on your stop. You're going to jump out, run. You're going to jump on your mountain bike. So I'll provide the stop, you provide your mountain bike. I will probably suggest you get a second hand one. Don't bring your £1,000 of bike, please. It's going to get broken. And then you've got this 10k mountain bike course, which has got some really, again, I can't reveal what is going to happen on it, but like I say, bring 5k with a mountain bike, it's going to get trapped. So you're all this, all I do is have somebody who isn't confident riding in the back, and I flippantly said, I don't know if you do it on a space opera, and he went, oh my God, you're a genius, can I do it on a space opera? Because we take it that seriously. Yeah. So what we're going to do then? Do 5K space off and do the third state, the OCR twice. So mountain bike OCR. Don't get any better than that.
I've recently taken up gravel bike. I don't know if you know this, but I've recently bought a gravel bike. So I've got a mountain bike and I've got a racing bike. So I've done it for half running. He's like, what should you do? And someone convinced me you need a gravel bike. So I've been a good gravel bike, you know. I can't say how much in case the wife watches it. But lovely idea. A racing bike off road. It's one of the most amazing things. When I looked at this, I saw paddleboard, cyclocross, and I was thinking, oh, I could just make me go bike. And then now you just said, don't fetch it. I'm like, oh.
Well, it just depends, doesn't it? Personally, I've got a mountain bike that's, I mean, it's a Carrera, but it's still 500-600 quid's worth, and it's then got another couple of quid miles on it. I ain't gonna throw that over a wall.
No.
Over a 6-foot wall. I ain't gonna throw it over a 6-foot wall. I mean. So you can see the area we're playing in now. It's going to be bonkers. It's going to be brilliant. Like I said before, if we're not pushing boundaries, then why the hell are we here?
Right, exactly. I fully agree with that. We need to be making OCR more accessible to the community. You know, we need things like this. You know, press to go everywhere. Talk about a little bit of press. Something to liven it up that's going to affect. And that's what our video podcasts are going to be. For everyone who's watching, I've got a few people lined up for the next few weeks. They're not always directors. I don't know directors. If you're watching and you think you come on have a chat with it, so admin at ukocr.com. I'll put on the bottom later for everyone to watch. But yeah, David, it's been a pleasure to welcome you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come back. But when we were arranging this, you said I'm going to try and keep it together. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to laugh. There's no way you're going to talking about OCR of all things. I'm going to keep it to an hour. If kept it off football, if we'd have gone to football, then we'd have been here all week.
Written down. I didn't want to ask them, so
Say that next time.
I've got one last question for you, though. With it being a rocket, are you Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Wars all day long.
Obi-Wan Kenobi or Darth Vader then?
Oh. It's a very interesting question. I think, you know what, to some, I'm Darth Vader, and to some, I'm Obi-Wan. However, I do have a Yoda, and that's Colin Bafford is my Yoda.
If people know Colin, he is from Reaper Races, or was from Reaper Races, no longer around. Colin, if you're watching, fetch Reaper back because I love Reaper. Your night races were to die for. Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And that was a really great pairing of race directors, Colin and Chris. Both of them very close friends of mine. And in a way, kind of without knowing it, they were kind of my mentors. I'd bring my radio, somebody would be there, you know, there, and would do all that. And, you know, let's get that race actors. They were great race. They were really, really great. Yeah, top guys. Got a lot of respect for them. You know, for the parent, but yeah, Colin is definitely good.
Yes, I fully agree. And I'm time to finish off for the followers. So you can watch this on UK OCR, and you can also watch this on Racing